WrestleMania season has gone by, but unfortunately, the dreaded releases have now come, especially for the WWE wrestlers that have been selected. It's O'Reilly from Main Event Mike here, and I'm here to give my quick thoughts on the WWE wrestlers who unfortunately have been released post WrestleMania season. Every time after WrestleMania, there will be wrestlers who unfortunately will be released by the company due to budget cut reasons or just WWE trying to save as much money as possible. And the people that have been released this time has caused some friction, which will always do when it comes to people that will be released from the company. To start it off, it's not always good to see wrestlers who, let's say, for example, have wished to wrestle in WWE all their life, now unfortunately have to go into the situation where they will no longer have a job in WWE. But I think the beauty of it is that right now they have the opportunity through working through different other organizations or companies, which they have done previously. So, to the people that have been released, they have jobs, they have opportunities to go for other things if they still want to continue in this world that is professional wrestling. Now, just to start off on the wrestlers who have been released, I think the biggest name that has kind of caused the biggest confusion is Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane, who's been involved in a big storyline with Asuka, which has seen Asuka manipulate, bully her, and even shout at her name at times, which to a lot of people have been kind of the biggest thing that they've done with Kairi Sane. I do think Kairi Sane is one of the more underrated wrestlers in WWE. I think she's a phenomenal wrestler, but unfortunately, she's just not on the totem pole of, let's say, a Becky Lynch, a Bianca Belair, a Rhea Ripley, in terms of potentially positioning her as the next world champion, maybe someone who's in the mid card. But this feud actually gave Kairi Sane legs in terms of pushing towards a feud with Asuka, or what I think was supposed to be the ending of this is potentially her going up against Asuka, stopping her from all the problems and all the bullying that Asuka's done, and I felt like that was supposed to be the payoff. But according to the into her being released, that is not the case. It does suck because I think someone of Kairi Sane's wrestling ability does not deserve to be released, and it kind of screams to the question of WWE's thing of we love to do long term storylines, but for a story like this, especially involving the women, why did they not give the opportunity to continue? And what was the motivations of Kairi Sane being released? Was it just because Kairi Sane had so much money that they had to let her go? These are things that we're not going to really know, but it is unfortunate to see her go because, like I said, WWE's women's division is a very rich division. We can talk about, let's say, the booking of how they've booked the women's champions over the last few years and how shoddy it has been. But losing Kairi Sane, especially in what was potentially the most interesting and more intriguing storyline that you had with her, just kind of sucks as well. But she's got stuff to. If she is going back to, let's say, Japan to go back as Kairi Hojo or just to wrestle outside of WWE, it will be a great addition to wherever she goes as well. Which I do kind of see her going back to Japan or Stardom or maybe somewhere else as well. Another release which came to a shock is Aleister Black, who I believe hasn't. He just recently came back to WWE not too long ago, and as well as Selena Vega, who vented her frustrations of Sean Ross Sapp revealing her release before she could ever do as well. Um, Aleister Black's one is a strange one because when I look at Aleister Black and Selena Vega's group or how they've kind of formatted it, they just remind me of Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux. That's like as soon as Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux left WWE, Aleister Black and Selena Vega kind of kept the same blueprint, the same format of how they would do. They would be people that would go to wrestlers and try and channel their dark side. And it was reported that Triple H actually wanted Aleister Black to be the person that Randy Orton was speaking on the phone to kind of force the heel turn. But they've chosen to go with Pat McAfee to whatever success that people believe that was successful. Um, Another release that kind of doesn't make sense. I understand that Aleister Black wasn't going to win a WWE championship or anything, but to bring someone like that back to WWE just to release him not too long ago kind of screams the notion that WWE are willing to do anything in terms of signing talent who, let's say, for example, have had previous relations with AEW and just signing them so that the company just doesn't have them. It does suck that they've lost their job, but we'll see how things will go with Aleister Black now that he's no longer with WWE. Do I see him going back to AEW? Who knows? With Selena Vega, I think we'll see with that as well. But yeah, just a release that came out of nowhere, but WWE's going to WWE. Another release which came to the shock of a lot is the White Six, and that is every single member of the White Six, which is Bo Dallas, Nikki Cross, Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, and Eric Rowan. With the White Six, it's a group where it was done in the spirit and in the respect and the honor of Bray Wyatt, who passed away a few years ago. And it was always a group that had a self-by date and really just wasn't going to go anywhere apart from that one big angle they had back on Monday Night Raw when they finally revealed themselves as a group. But since then, they haven't really done much of anything. They feuded with a few tag teams or few teams. Like I remember they were feuding with Gable's team, and they've been stuck in like a 1 year feud with the MFTs over the flipping lamp. And like that's really the story of that feud. And it kind of makes sense to the way of how the White Six lost not too long ago on SmackDown, that they would all be released. As much as the White Six was a very intriguing group and a very intriguing addition to WWE, it like I said, it had its sell by date and it had its time where it was going to become a novelty act. Was Uncle Howdy going to challenge Cody Rhodes or Randy Orton or Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns for the world title? No. After all the feuds they will do, they would, of course, unfortunately not be as huge as they would be. And it's a shame because you do have a few talented wrestlers in this group. Someone like a Joe Gacy who had his time in NXT, Bo Dallas who I think did a really good job of kind of embracing the character of Uncle Howdy. Nikki Cross, someone who has been in WWE for a long period of time before joining the White Six, now is also released too. And then of course Eric Rowan who made his return and it seemed like it went to nothing. So yeah, unfortunately for the White Six that they've gone, but I think it just screams to the addition of WWE not having anything to do with them apart from a few team or rivalries with certain factions, and not going out of their depths to kind of think of other intriguing ways to kind of involve the White Six. The Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, signed with WWE not too long ago. 2025 was a interesting year for them. They had a lot of good matches last year, including the TLC match after SmackDown and also the SummerSlam match, six-man TLC. They also had a 2 out of 3 falls match with DIY at the Royal Rumble last year. But unfortunately, they have been hit the axe of release as well, and it once again screams to the notion of the tag team division in WWE. What is the incentive of being a tag team wrestler or tag team wrestlers in WWE in 2026? The current tag team champions are Austin Theory and Logan Paul on Monday Night Raw, and Damian Priest and R-Truth on SmackDown. Two teams where you could arguably say are not really tag teams and just teams put together because they have currently nothing for them. What has happened to the SmackDown tag team division? Last year, arguably the division gave some of WWE's best television matches and even PLE matches, with referencing back to the matches that I did earlier. But you have wrestlers like Fraxium kind of stuck in backward segments. You were doing some things with them involving backstage segments to an extent with the Motor City Machine Guns. And it is a shame. I am a fan of the Motor City Machine Guns. I've loved what they've done with tag team wrestling for the past 20 years. If this is going back to their TNA run, Ring of Honor run. And seeing them in WWE is cool. Sure, they never got over to the extent where they completely got over with the crowds and everyone. But you could clearly tell that they were experienced wrestlers and a really great tag team that could help establish other teams. My problem is that WWE clearly doesn't care for their tag team division, and it's clearly showing year by year that they don't care for their tag team division. I don't think I remember one WWE Tag Team Championship match on either of the PLEs, which kind of tells you the condition of where the tag team division has gone in WWE. There isn't really an incentive to be the best tag team. Back in the days when the New Day, or even the Usos, even beforehand when you had Edge and Christian, the Hardys, the Dudley Boys, and even all the past tag teams, there was giving you a reason to care for the tag team division. Unfortunately, right now, that isn't really the case here in 2026, especially with the champions that are currently right now, and how they have been moving with the WWE division since then. Motor City Machine Guns release is an unfortunate one, but it's one where it's like you didn't care for the teams regarding anyway. And I felt like it was a sudden release because you could feel that because of their experience in wrestling, their experience as a team, that after their time is done, they could potentially even be coaches. We've seen the likes of a Bobby Roode transition from a wrestler into a producer. something that you could even see most She Machine Guns be, especially with the experiences that Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin has had. But WWE chose something else otherwise, which is unfortunate. But yeah, if I was to say what is the biggest alarming issue of WWE, it is the tag team division. And you can say that I don't really care for tag team wrestling. Well, you should, because it's been one of the spirits of WWE wrestling for such a long period of time.